The Battle of Hastings in 1066 marked a turning point in English history, with William the Conqueror's decisive victory. King Harold II of England faced William, Duke of Normandy, in one of the most famous battles of the medieval period. The death of King Edward the Confessor in January 1066 left a power vacuum, leading to disputes over the English throne. Harold Godwin's son was crowned king shortly after Edward's death, but William claimed that Edward had promised him the throne. William, Duke of Normandy, prepared a massive invasion force to assert his claim and take the English crown by force. On October 14, 1066, the armies of Harold and William met at Senlac Hill near Hastings in southern England. Harold's army, primarily made up of infantry, took a defensive position on the hill, awaiting William's Norman forces. William's army included cavalry, archers, and infantry, giving him a more diverse and flexible fighting force. The Normans used tactics unfamiliar to the English, such as cavalry charges and feigned retreats to break enemy lines. Early in the battle, the Normans struggled to break the English shield wall, a strong defensive formation. A turning point came when rumors spread that William had been killed, causing panic among his troops. William removed his helmet, showing his face to his men, restoring morale and encouraging them to continue fighting. The Norman cavalry played a crucial role in the battle, using speed and mobility to attack the English from different angles. Harold's forces fought bravely, but the English shield wall weakened under repeated Norman attacks. Harold was killed during the battle, with some accounts claiming he was struck in the eye by an arrow. With Harold's death, the English army began to collapse, and the Normans gained the upper hand on the battlefield. William's victory at Hastings paved the way for his coronation as King of England on Christmas Day, 1066. The Norman conquest radically changed English society, politics, language, and culture in the years following the battle. Norman rule brought feudalism to England, reshaping the land ownership system and creating a new social hierarchy. William rewarded his loyal followers with large estates, displacing many Anglo-Saxon nobles from their lands. The Norman elite spoke French, which influenced English, introducing new words and phrases. The Battle of Hastings marked the end of Anglo-Saxon rule in England and the beginning of Norman dominance. The Domesday Book, commissioned by William in 1085, detailed landholdings and resources across England for tax purposes. Castles were built throughout England to assert Norman control and defend against potential uprisings by the English. The Tower of London, one of William's most famous constructions, symbolized Norman power in the capital. The Bayeux Tapestry, a famous embroidered artwork, depicts the events leading up to and including the Battle of Hastings. The tapestry shows key moments of the battle, including Harold's death and the Norman cavalry charges. The Norman conquest led to the replacement of many English bishops with Norman clergy, changing the church's leadership. The English legal system was influenced by Norman law, blending Anglo-Saxon and Norman traditions over time. William faced several rebellions after Hastings, but he crushed them, solidifying his control over the kingdom. The Harrying of the North in 1069 was a brutal campaign by William to suppress revolts in northern England. William's actions in the north caused widespread destruction, with many villages and crops burned to the ground. The conquest had a profound impact on English architecture, with the introduction of Romanesque-style churches and castles. Many of the surviving Anglo-Saxon nobility fled to Scotland, Ireland, or Scandinavia after the Norman conquest. The Norman conquest connected England more closely with continental Europe, especially with France and Normandy. William's reign established a line of Norman kings that would rule England for nearly a century after his death. The Battle of Hastings is often seen as the event that ended the Viking Age in England, as William consolidated power. The Normans introduced chivalry and knightly culture to England, influencing the aristocracy and military practices. The battle changed the course of English history, shaping its monarchy, aristocracy, and even its national identity. Harold's forces were weakened by the Battle of Stamford Bridge, just weeks before Hastings, where they defeated the Norwegians. The battle was fought on an autumn day, with both sides facing the harsh reality of medieval warfare and its brutal tactics. The Norman cavalry, with its ability to maneuver quickly, played a key role in breaking the English defenses. The feigned retreats by the Normans lured English soldiers into breaking formation, making them vulnerable to counterattacks. Harold's death at Hastings symbolized the end of an era for the Anglo-Saxon rulers and the dawn of Norman rule. The impact of the battle was not only military but also cultural, transforming English customs, laws, and governance. William's victory brought an influx of Norman nobles, knights, and administrators who reshaped English society. Due to its far-reaching impact, the Battle of Hastings remains one of the most famous and studied battles in medieval history. William's careful planning and preparation for the invasion were key factors in his eventual success at Hastings. The battle lasted most of the day, with fierce fighting as both sides vied for control of the strategic hilltop. William's use of archers to weaken the English lines was a tactic that helped turn the tide of the battle in his favor. The Normans celebrated their victory with feasting and ceremonies, marking the beginning of a new era in England. The legacy of the Battle of Hastings is still felt today, with many of England's place names having Norman origins. The battle is often seen as a clash of two cultures, with the Anglo-Saxon and Norman ways of life colliding dramatically. William's claim to the throne was strengthened by his ability to win over key English lords after his victory. The conquest brought new ideas in governance, leading to the development of the English monarchy and legal system. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, a key historical source, provides insights into the events surrounding the Norman conquest. William's reign was marked by efforts to integrate his Norman followers with the existing Anglo-Saxon population. The Battle of Hastings was a culmination of years of rivalry and tension between the Normans and the English. The battle site at Hastings is now a historical landmark, attracting visitors who wish to learn more about the events of 1066. The Norman conquest introduced new agricultural practices, improving productivity and changing the rural landscape. William's leadership during the battle was decisive, as he led charges and rallied his troops when needed. The fall of Harold and the victory of William dramatically altered the course of English and European history. The battle has been romanticized in literature and art, symbolizing the struggles and triumphs of medieval warfare. Hastings is often cited as one of the most important battles in English history due to its long-lasting consequences. William's successors, including his son William Rufus, faced challenges in consolidating Norman rule. The Norman influence on architecture led to the construction of grand cathedrals and castles that still stand today. Harold's defeat at Hastings is often seen as the result of both bad luck and the superior tactics of William's forces. The integration of Norman culture into England created a blend of traditions that shaped the nation's identity for centuries. The defeat of Harold marked the end of the Anglo-Saxon era and the beginning of the Norman dynasty in England. William's reign was not without challenges, as he faced rebellions from both Anglo-Saxon nobles and Norman rivals. The battle site at Senlac Hill is now known as Battle Abbey, a monument to William's victory and Harold's defeat. The introduction of Norman feudalism created a new social order, with landowners owing loyalty and service to the king. The battle was a bloody affair, with thousands of men fighting and many losing their lives in the struggle for the throne. The influence of the Normans on English law, language, and governance can still be traced in modern England. Harold's army, exhausted from their previous battle in the north, was unable to withstand the full force of the Normans. William's claim to the throne was supported by the Pope, giving him a religious justification for his invasion. The Normans' victory at Hastings ensured their dominance over England and their influence on European politics. The introduction of the feudal system after Hastings fundamentally changed the structure of English society. The long-term impact of Hastings is evident in the blending of Anglo-Saxon and Norman cultures over the following centuries. William's victory at the Battle of Hastings remains a defining moment in English history, changing the country forever.